I will say this is one thing I do envy of some people when they get sick is their nose. Like they don't need to blow their nose all the time. I notice. Meanwhile, I'm like every 25 seconds fucking blowing my nose.
I have allergies, so I'm just in a constant state of blowing my nose. Like
That sucks.
it's just horrible.
And Tim is in a constant state of drip.
I got that Drippo.
You get that
Just
drippo.
like it like goes out your mustache and like
Oh,
No, I meant like the outfit. I got the drip,
oh you go okay.
The fire drip.
I thought you were talking about the dividend reinvestment plan.
It's no cap.
Damn it, man. All right, hello and welcome to Day One Pass Podcast, episode 496. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Tim Spence, Drip Master. Drip Master Spence.
Coming in at 500.
500?
Very soon.
500 what?
Episodes.
Oh, we are, yes.
Yeah.
The big 500.
Coming in close.
How many episodes is that? Let's work that back.
That's 500.
No, not episodes. I mean week or years.
How many years?
Yeah.
Almost 10?
Almost 10, yeah.
It'll be 10 at 520.
9.5. 9.5 years. So 500 will be our last episode. We'll bid you adieu.
Sad.
And free up our Friday nights, eh? Go to the club. I don't know what people do on Friday.
Not even just like people our age or like what we would do, but what people just in general do on a Friday.
What do they do? I don't know.
What does the average person do on Friday?
I clean my shirt of Scotty's before the show each time.
I don't like that. So it's a shame we don't record the video for the podcast because we're all repping the primary colors right now.
Oh, yeah.
We look like the Wiggles or something. We just have all these like.
This is more orange in person. I don't know if it's coming across more yellow, but this is orange.
It looks like Star Trek to me, like almost perfectly.
You have
Fun
a yellow
facts.
shirt and like yellow wood background. Matt has a red shirt and very red
Yeah, that's
wood
true.
background, and I
Holy
have blue
crap.
lighting and a blue shirt.
That's weird.
Looks very intentional.
Fun fact though about Kirk's shirt, Matt. If you remember watching the original series, you remember every now and then he would have that green shirt on.
Yeah.
You know why?
No.
His yellow shirt is actually green.
What?
In person, it's actually green. But
just looks yellow in the
the type of material with the set lights made it look gold on camera.
Ooh.
So wait, so why was it green sometimes? Were they like, okay,
Because
we better
you-
show the real
because-
color sometimes?
Well, no, that was a different shirt with made of a different material.
Oh.
And so that one on camera looked like its original color. Because they wanted it to be red, green, and blue. Those were the colors of the shirts they were all going to have. But now it's gold because it looks gold, and so they always made it gold. Isn't that weird?
That is a funky little bit of trivia.
That is a little bit. That is a fun fact, one might say.
Yep.
I don't suppose we have any like gaming related ones of those, do we?
Well, I don't even know if I introduced Matt. So Matt, fun fact, Master Matt. Take it
Fun
away.
fact, Master Man. Here we go.
I was gonna say, are we doing a jingle on the fly here?
Yeah.
Fun fact, Master Matt.
Jesus, it's-
.com.
usually jingles are jingly, not depressing.
Well, I was doing like the low harmony. I was expecting
Fun
someone else to like jump in.
fact, Master Matt.
It just sounds like two
Alright.
separate things. It doesn't sound like you're saying
Yeah.
one whole thing. Anyway.
We should try to hit the brown note with one of our jingles.
I wish the brown note was. You know how much they would weaponize the brown note though. Imagine like a protest getting out of hand, and they turn on some speakers, and everyone's just pooing their pants.
No, okay. Here's the thing, though. Okay, all that stuff would be targeted, though. The thing I'd be scared of is like someone gets in a car accident, and just the accident's noise causes
Oh.
causes the brown note. People are just actively shitting at
But
random.
don't people also just like soil themselves in accidents? Doesn't
I
that
don't mean the
happen?
people in the accident. I mean people are on the witnesses around the area are looking.
So you're not concerned with
And
the
so, like,
people
I-
who potentially
the-
died in this accident. You're
I'm not-
concerned with the passerbys.
I'm talking specifically about the brown note happening accidentally. Like it cannot even be an
Why does it
accident. Like
be
what
a
if
car accident? It could be any situation.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So what if you like grabbed like your couch and you like, kind of moved it across the floor and it like skidded across the floor and it played the brown note. And now everyone in your house is just shit all over themselves.
I'd imagine it would have to be a sustained sound though. It wouldn't just
a
be
sustained couch move.
like boop, and then you start pooing. It would have to be
Something
like a
little-
sustained to rumble your bowels.
You need your bowels to resonate effectively.
Yeah, and then it lets loose,
I really, really hate that.
loose,
Everyone would
wet and loose.
everyone would just be wearing adult diapers because at any time you could just
Scotty's diapers.
But fuck me, if you had Scotties, everyone would also have allergies to little pieces of floof everywhere. It's fucking ridiculous.
Should we talk about games?
No,
No, we're gonna talk about pooing our pants instead.
this is the Brown Note podcast.
This is the
It's not a terrible name for a podcast if there was some sort of like pun to be made there.
There's not.
Oh yeah, I'm
there's
listening to the
there's
Brown
pun.
Note.
That's not bad.
every week we just play a different tone, a
trying
prolonged
to
tone
find
for
it.
1 hour to try to find the brown note.
Ah, just sit there for an hour and we'll just experiment to see if we can find it.
Yeah.
Has
And
anyone
all-
done that before?
Meanwhile, all the like laxative companies are like terrified as fuck
Or
because they're like,
sponsoring us?
oh, well, that's not good.
We
All
get that
right.
bag somehow.
That's from laxatives. If you've been sitting down playing video games too much and you need to rock a piss, then, or I guess it's not rock a piss. You just need to shit. Then
Rock a piss out your ass.
yeah, piss out my ass. This is what I usually say when I get mad while playing video games. Actually, so here's the video game fun fact. There's a transition. So I was curious about Duke Nukem Forever. I've heard about it, of course. Bit of a meme, a disaster, a long development cycle. And so I did some research into this. And so Duke Nukem Forever is notorious for having one of the longest and most troubled development cycles, now known as development hell, in video game history, spanning from its announcement in 1997, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous, to its eventual release in 2011, a total of 14 years. The game's development became a cautionary tale of what's now known as development hell, where multiple factors contributed to delays, constant changes, and even another company got involved. So I have like a bit of a timeline here. The initial announcement, like I said, in 1997, Duke Nukem Forever was announced as the sequel to the highly successful Duke Nukem 3D, which was launched in 1996. And it was initially planned to use the Quake 2 engine, but shortly after the developer switched to the Unreal Engine, setting the stage for the first of many delays. Because as the general population started playing indie games, a lot of indie games got crushed by this type of thing. Not specifically Quake 2 to Unreal, but they'd be like, "Don't worry, guys, we're just going to do a quick engine swap," and then it becomes like 2 years, a year, whatever, and then it's like, well, this game, it's not making money now. There's no updates, and it's a mess. Not good. So the next thing in the timeline here, engine changes and delays. The decision to switch engines was one of the primary reasons for the delays. The developers at 3D Realms repeatedly overhauled the game's engine to keep up with the latest technological advancements, which significantly hindered progress. Now, I mean, this is, we're talking 14 years. Yeah, like you would have to keep up. Like you can't be like, yeah, we're going to release a 1997 game in 2011. Like we're talking, this is years and years after like Oblivion, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. When did Call of Duty come out? Call of Duty 4. Like Call of Duty 4 was like 2009. Is that right?
2008.
So like, could you imagine a 1997 game, like, or like a 1997 level game coming out unintentionally old at that point, right? Obviously, retro games have always been like, hey, we wanted to make a game of this era. That was not what this game was trying to do. So this, of course, led to development turmoil. So the project became infamous for its never-ending feature creep, where new ideas and features were constantly added to the game, preventing it from ever reaching a finalized state. George Broussard, I probably messed that up, co-owner of 3D Realms, was heavily involved in the project and became known for his perfectionism, which led to numerous restarts and revisions. So if you ever work in tech, which I do, perfectionism is a real serious problem. Perfectionism, even at the final stages, like the polishing, is it's virtually impossible to attain. And 99% of the time, you'll do so many lines of code, changes, little tweaks to get something to be perfect that if somebody wants one small change, it's now no longer a small change. It's like, well, the actual product is done, but there's like this huge layer of sort of like polish and perfectionism on top of it, which makes things very difficult to change. Move on here now to funding and team problems. So as the years went by, the financial strain and constant changes took their toll on the development team. By 2009, 3D Realms had run out of money and had to lay off most of its staff, leading to lawsuits with the game's publisher, Take-Two Interactive. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. So another dev comes in. So 3D Realms is out, and in comes Gearbox Software, the creators of Borderlands. They stepped up to rescue the project, and they are the ones that actually did eventually complete the game and release it in 2011. Now, I didn't stop there because I thought, well, like, why would Gearbox come to the rescue? So Gearbox rescued the project because, and I have a variety of points here. The first one here is industry legacy. So Gearbox Software's CEO Randy Pitchford was a former 3D Realms employee and actually had a personal connection to Duke Nukem franchise. He wanted to see the project completed as a tribute to its legacy in gaming history. There was also, of course, potential financial gain. So, despite the development issues, Duke Nukem still had strong brand recognition, and Gearbox saw this as an opportunity to potentially capitalize on this existing fan base and now nostalgia because it had been so long surrounding the character. So it's like, hey, we rescued this game. A little bit of karma there too, right?
Yeah.
They also had a publisher. There was a publisher relationship. So Gearbox had a good relationship with the publisher, which had the lawsuit with 3D Realms, which was Take-Two Interactive. And by stepping up to complete the project, Gearbox was able to strengthen their partnership with Take-Two Interactive. So that's another bit of something that isn't just about financial gain. And also for Gearbox, rescuing Duke Nukem was also seen as a challenge. So they wanted to rise to the development challenge. This was a chance for them to prove their capabilities by finishing a notoriously difficult and long delayed project. So this thing, of course, gets released in 2011, and this is where sort of the memes and the unfortunate reality of development hell. This is probably one of the first times I've ever heard of development hell. Anyway. Myself personally.
Well,
So
it definitely existed, but yeah, this is the first time where like it was kind of notable and newsworthy.
the first time it was certainly public, mostly because things started becoming more public as 2011 rolls around, but also 1997 to 2011, just saying it, and I've said it a bunch, still sounds ridiculous. Like what a crazy like difference in technology you would experience at that time. So this thing launches 2011, and it launches to mixed or negative reviews. And critics and players alike were largely disappointed, especially given the 14-year development cycle. And this was largely due to outdated gameplay. It was criticized for feeling stuck in the past, with gameplay mechanics that were considered old-fashioned and uninspired compared to modern standards at the time of release. There was also reportedly poor level design, and reviewers noted that the level of design was inconsistent, with some sections being monotonous and others feeling unfinished or poorly executed. And then, of course, there were some technical issues, such as bugs, long loading times, and performance issues, which further hampered the overall performance of the game. And overall, this thing had really, really high expectations, and it missed those. These expectations had built up and built up and built up over more than a decade, and many players found that the final product, after all this waiting, was very underwhelming, and it did not live up to the hype that had surrounded it for years. And despite its poor reception, the game remains an important part of gaming history. So one of the things that Gearbox wanted to do was checked off, either like, hey, we want to do the challenge. We wanted to ensure that this, piece of gaming history was released. And so, yes, despite the poor reviews, this game remains an important part of gaming history. And it's as it is often discussed in the context of development challenges and used as a case study in how not to manage a long-term project. So possibly, you added into the gaming history Hall of Fame, if there is such a thing, for something that is a little unfortunate. But that's it. That's Duke Nukem Forever.
Is that its plaque in the Gaming Hall of Fame? It just says a little unfortunate.
It quotes little, like, smaller text, italic, just a little unfortunate.
Quotes are on it. A little unfortunate, that one.
Did either of you guys play it?
God, no. I watched a bunch of it, but I never played it.
I had no interest in that kind of humor or type of game,
I saw it I saw videos on it when it came out, and the only things I know about that game are, in the first level, you get like a whiteboard where you can write on it, and everyone always drew a dick on it. And then the other thing you can do in that level right off the bat is, or maybe it starts out in a bathroom, right? He's like pissing in a urinal, I think, is when the game first starts, and it lets you like direct the stream and choose when you want to like stop pissing or something like that. And you can like piss all over the toilet too, or something like that. But
I distinctly remember the pissing. I remember from the YouTube videos I watched.
Yeah,
we should play it now. We should boot it up now and see what's up.
We'll do a podcast
Can you
live.
even buy it anywhere? Did you buy a physical copy? Where do you?
We'll do a let's play of it. Let's play Duke Nukem 11 years after its 11-year delay,
Oh,
or 14, I guess. So you have to
Yeah.
wait until, when do we have to wait until? 2028, 2025. Next year. We can do it next year.
oh my
There you go.
God. So we can already get we can already get ready for this.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the official title? Duke Nukem 3D?
Forever.
Duke Nukem Forever. 3D is the first one. It's available on
Oh.
Steam.
Yeah, well, yeah, I imagine something. It's not on PlayStation, so. But Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour is on PS4, so you can play it on PS5.
Now we're talking.
Gearbox Publishing. It looks like garbage.
A little unfortunate.
It looks of the era, you know.
So here's something weird. So I'm on the Steam page. First of all, it's Steam Deck certified. So someone went through the
That's ridiculous. The heck?
But also it says that all reviews are mostly positive, and that's 5,668 reviews.
That's not
However,
the reviews.
recent reviews, of which there are, to me, a staggering 58, are mixed.
Huh.
So why is it mostly positive in general? But then it's like, yeah, but by the way, like
Maybe the PC version is like the best version of it.
maybe, yeah.
Or they just liked it for the memes, right? They
Yeah.
for the laughs, for the jokes.
The goofs, the gaffs.
Yeah. You know how they review Bomb something? They reviewed Boosted this.
Review boost, yeah.
Yeah.
There are I have 3 friends on Steam that already own this.
Oh my god. Probably got in like a humble bundle or like some sort of special. Maybe it was on sale for like 99 cents. Remember those
Aw.
days? Remember those? I remember that in like college, like Steam sales, like you'd get decent games for like 99 cents.
Yeah, honestly.
The days are gone. It's like
Well, you can get them occasionally.
like $6-7 is now the lowest I see games. Like big games.
Yeah, big games for sure.
Gotta buy more smaller games.
I don't need more games,
Oh, okay.
but I want them.
It's 50. This thing got 54. Again, this is the Steam version. 54 on Metacritic.
That's not horrible. I mean, it's bad. I wouldn't play that, but it's not horrible.
So it says that was on the Steam page. It says 50. Okay, yeah. So 54 on PC. Oh, hang on. Here we go. 54 PC, 51 PS3, 49 on Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, but to be determined.
GameCube.
Yeah, because this thing was 1997. It was like probably expected to come out on all these things, and they're still waiting. TBD, boys. TBD.
One day, though. One day, I'm holding out. It's gonna be
crazy.
great.
It's been so long that game is now like our generation thing, and
Mhm.
today's kids won't know about it or won't know how long it was in development and or any of this stuff. But Matt's teaching them now.
Well, it's probably better for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Better they don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll like it. Maybe different tastes of different generations.
Don't spoil their fragile little minds.
Or probably too many sexual jokes for them, I think.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. Needs more like surrealist jokes.
Mm.
Oh,
right.
this is a tragic. I got one really brief thing. It's a tragic review here. This is a pre-release review on Steam for Duke Nukem here. I have bought very bad video games in my life. This is one of them. Thank God Battleborn still came out though.
Battleborn. Holy
But that was
crap.
also Gearbox, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's dead.
I think that was Gearbox.
What about the Greymanes, though?
Greymane or Battleborn. They cleared the room.
Dragonborn.
Developer Gearbox Software, publisher 2K. That was like supposed to like kill Overwatch, right?
Was Overwatch out then? No way, it was out then.
This came out 2016.
Holy crap.
Overwatch
I feel like Overwatch was out like around the same time as
2016.
How
There
can
you
it be
go.
the killer
They
if
were-
it came out in the same year?
Not killer, but I guess competing.
Man, the Oblivion Killer, the Halo Killer, the
Yeah.
COD Killer. Man, remember when X-Defiant was the COD Killer?
Can they stop saying things are going to kill things? Because it never happens. There was no iPod killer. You know,
There's
Like,
no
just
WoW
stop.
killer.
just stop it.
I saw an amazing picture today of two Call of Duties and X-Defiant beside each other in someone's Steam feed, and it was like X-Defiant had like whatever, I can't remember the number of views. It was like 100, and the other ones like COD was like 2.7K, 10K for the other one, and it was true. X-Defiant truly was the COD killer.
Oh.
Fucking rip, big time rip.
All right, let's move on to our first news of the week. PS5 Pro leak has been revealed, and the alleged name, which is kind of funny because it's just PS5 Pro. It's like
Is
I could
anyone
have guessed that
surprised?
and been like, "This is
Yeah.
a big leak. I got the name of the next PS5 Pro."
I knew
It's
it as
the
soon as the
PS5
PS5 even launched. I got breaking news right now. I got the name of the next PlayStation console and its follow-up, the PS6 Pro.
You got to give Sony credit though for just naming their consoles numerically.
Yep.
And then PS4
Yep.
Pro, PS5
Yep.
Pro.
Yep.
I like it.
I'm all about it.
No
But what
jumping
about
around.
what if we did it the Microsoft way, where we just bounce back and forth with random numbers all the time?
PlayStation 1, PlayStation 360.
PlayStation 720.
PlayStation Series.
I love how everyone thought it was going to be the 720. That was so good.
I wouldn't mind that. Honestly, like branding wise, I wouldn't mind that at all.
It wouldn't have made any sense though, because like 360 made sense because it was like there were the circles involved in its like aesthetic and design. The
why
720
they
isn't
called it that?
necessarily two circles. Yeah.
I thought 360 were more like all encompassing. Like it's all around.
Well, they were doing that whole like world kind of thing, right? Like the jump in, the play. They wanted it to be like international. 360. It's the globe. It's a circle. It's never ending fun. Or, I don't know. I wasn't in that board meeting.
Maybe I'd be overthinking it, but as a marketer, I'd be like, that 360 just sounds like you're in the same spot where you started.
I remember that joke that people would always say, like, "Oh, the reason they call it the Xbox 360 is because when you see it, you do a 360 and walk away."
But that
And I was like, "You mean a
you walk
180?"
right at it. Yeah, you hit the Xbox. You trample it.
You do a 360 and then you walk over. So you just did a little dance and then
Aw.
So this is from IGN, the article, but it was an article on Deal Labs. Reliable PlayStation leaker Bill Kuhn said the final name of the mid-gen refresh is indeed PS5 Pro and published a sketch of its design based on what is claimed to be the final packaging box of the new console. The sketch above shows a console design similar to the existing PS5 Slim, white in color and with 2 USB-C ports and a power button on the front. But there are 3 black stripes in the middle of the outer layer of the PS5 Pro that are not found on the base models. Bill Kuhn noted that the PS5 Pro appears slightly thicker than the PS5 Slim. I don't know if you guys have looked at this design. Do you want me to throw this in the chat here? Can I?
Yeah, hit us in the chat, bro. Hit us with that chat GPT.
I'm not doing that, but here's the link to the article. It's just, you'll see it. It's like on a blue background. But I am none too impressed with this design.
I mean, it literally looks like the Slim, but with 3 stripes of sorts in the middle.
And I would say worse. It looks worse.
it's always hard, right? With like the mid-cycle refresh of how do you make it look like the same thing that people are already familiar with, but differentiate it enough that people know it's different, but it's also supposed to convey like better, even visually, right?
What is your guys' take on the PlayStation requiring a stand? Like, I honestly kind of think it's bad design because even the Slim, so like obviously the big original launch day ones requires like that sort of like round stand with the sort of like clips in the back. But the new one has these little legs that come out. Like if you want to sit it down horizontally, it has these little legs that clip into it, and they're transparent or translucent because they're kind of quote unquote not really supposed to be seen. And I always feel as though if the console needs something else other than the console to stand up, I don't like that.
It's inelegant. I agree from that standpoint, but I also don't think it's that you can stand up the PS5 on its side. It's just how stable do you want it is whether you get the stand or not. You know what I mean?
Well, there was also for the original, there was also that sort of thermal paste concern where they didn't want you to stand it up vertically because of the liquid metal would leak or something.
Was that even legit though, or was that just like online fear mongering thing that wasn't actually real?
I thought I heard it was real, but it wasn't widespread.
But the original PS5 came with a stand that could do both.
That's correct.
So obviously they would have tested it vertically.
What I again, this is what I heard. What I heard and read at the time was that it was a manufacturer defect. It's not that they like by engineering standard that it couldn't stand up either way. It was fully supposed to be capable of doing that with a stand. It was that there was a manufacturing defect where the thermal paste would either leak or become not useful in some way, leaking as one of the ways. And then now you don't have as good a thermal protection.
I'm going to predict that this is just a bunch of YouTubers who don't have engineering degrees who are just making this up.
It's possible. Like again, like I read it and was like, well, I don't stand my stuff up anyway, and that was it. Like that was my entire interaction with it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would think is that like when you say like, oh, Sony would test it, is like they can't test what the final version is going to be like, 3, 4, 5, 6 years after it's released, right? Because they can't fast forward
No
time.
company tests their product that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not physically possible, right? So
hmm I've been wondering about that because this is a weird tangent, but hot water tanks have an anode rod that is a sacrificial rod, right?
yep,
But I saw this one you can buy it's an electronic one, so it's not a whole big pole of aluminum or whatever, or magnesium. It's just a little thing that sticks in the water, and then you plug that thing into the wall, and that draws all the corrosive like things to that, right?
right.
It says it lasts 20 years. How do they know it lasts 20 years?
They extrapolate
It's just,
data probably.
I guess, yeah, because it's a physical properties thing. So if you know
Yeah.
how, long
How
I
much
guess it-
degradation it has over a certain period of time, you then extrapolate.
but still, it has a 20-year warranty. I think, which is crazy.
Well, it's like the thing with the foldable phones, right? Where they can emulate how long the hinge is going to last by knowing how many times people open it, and then they get a robot to open it that many times.
Yeah, I've seen those. It's crazy. Just to go over kind of the specs of this alleged PS5 Pro, it's not as big of a jump as I think most people would probably hope. The headline improvement are the CPU, which is said to be identical to the standard PS5 CPU, but with a high CPU frequency mode that reportedly amounts to a 10% increase to 3.85 gigahertz. The GPU, meanwhile, is said to enable faster rendering and higher quality ray tracing, powered by 33.5 teraflops. The standard PS5 offers 10.28 teraflops. However, a direct PS5 to PS5 Pro comparison would work out to around 10.28 versus 16 to 17 teraflops. I don't know what that means. It's just a slight increase to the CPU, which I guess isn't as important, right? I guess GPU is more the priority here. Of particular interest, the PS5 Pro is said to have an upscaling anti-aliasing solution called PSSR, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling, custom machine learning architecture, and an AI accelerator. I guess that's more like DSSR and stuff.
Maybe. Like, one thing I am going to say is that, like, I feel like this thing sounds like it's underpowered a little bit. Like, if it sounds like they just didn't quite get there again,
The GPU going from 10 teraflops to 33 teraflops. That's kind of a big jump, right?
But and again, like, I don't have a thing to test it, but is the CPU going to become a bottleneck then?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, somebody would have to test this. Like, to be clear, I'm definitely speculating. But it just, how like you always say, Ryan, whenever a console comes out, that you wish that if the standard at the time, even like the high standard was 4K 60 FPS, that the console would be easily able to onboard do 4K 60 FPS. And then there's the argument, which I've even argued for and against and whatever, is that like, hey, these things got to be affordable. They take years to make, and obviously they can't predict where things are going to go exactly. So they get it close enough and then they release it, which I still agree. However, like, is this thing going to be able to do 4K 60 with everything on board? Like it kind of feels like it might not. Again, I'm speculating, but
I think my frustration always was that when the PS3 came out, like 1080 was around, like that was HD. 720 was considered HD back then, but like 1080 was like the standard, like Blu-rays were 1080. That was the big PS3 thing that had a Blu-ray drive. But then almost every single game is 720, with the exception of, like, I think Call of Duty and maybe some other select few were like 1080 and I think 60, right? Hasn't Call of Duty always been like 60?
I think COD's always been 60. Yeah.
So it's just frustrating that the PS3 comes out in the era of HD and can't always achieve 1080. Then the PS4 comes around, we're fully into 1080, 60 as a desirable thing, and the PS4 doesn't really do that. Everything's 1080 30. So it always feels like they're just behind what the standard is.
Yeah, and that's what this feels like to me.
Yeah, PS5 comes out and it does 4K, but kind of a little bit. But then also 4K 30, and then most games, if you want to do 60, you have to drop the resolution down so it looks like poo. It's just frustrating. That's all. And I understand, to make it up to current standards, it would cost a lot more, and obviously people don't want that.
Probably just like, their design philosophy is that they would rather have it be like totally manageable to be consistent versus, pushing the boundaries every time. Because like you say, it would be very expensive to have hardware that can do that, and they want the consoles to be affordable, right?
Yeah.
Well, they would rather people buy them.
I can't remember if we covered it or not, but did you guys see that article or that interview with the PlayStation lead architect, Mark Cerny? He said that his most surprising thing was that he didn't think games would be targeting 60 FPS on PS5. He was like shocked that was the case. Because I guess the assumption is that console players wouldn't necessarily care about 60 FPS. and that they care more about visuals, and so that the games would then target 4K at 30, but everyone wants 60 FPS, it seems.
We're in a weird spot, I think, even with that, right? Where like I see a lot of discourse online where like a game will come out, like what's that Viking game that came out for Game Pass?
Hellblade?
Hellblade. It's like Hellblade comes out and people are zooming in on these like, hyper zoom ins of like her eye and her face and stuff. And they're comparing it to these other games. And the discourse in the comment section kind of in general, from what I read, it has become, this is why these games are taking forever to make. Like you guys are zooming in on like, the hairs and the reflections on the hairs. And then you're comparing like, oh, this one, has a better reflection than this one at a microscopic level. Like you're literally splitting hairs at this point. And, and then for whatever reason, or for not whatever reason, like for good reason, the gameplay suffers because it's like, well, a whole bunch of time was put into these visuals. And then now like it looks really nice, but no one had time to go in and go, hey, this game kind of sucks. And so we get these games that are, and I'm not saying Hellblade's bad, like I haven't played it, but we get these games that are either, very samey as last year, or they're like very safe, but they just like make it look really nice because they know that if it looks nice, then it looks nice. And that's like a safe card to play. And so we're in this like weird transitionary period where it's sort of like people are now demanding, like, we want it to look amazing. We want it to be 60, but then we're also complaining about gameplay. And so it's almost like we're running the race, but instead of being like, hey, gameplay needs to improve or like graphics, it almost feels like we're demanding everything improve at once. And it's not, all these games are getting jammed up.
It was revealed too that Avowed, the Obsidian RPG that's coming out, is going to run at 30 FPS on Xbox Series X.
What the hell?
And I guess one of the reasonings was that this is from one of the creators, it's a first person single player game. You don't necessarily need that at 60 FPS.
I would disagree. I think it's a comfort thing. Like people can say, oh, like, you can't really tell the difference. And some people definitely can tell it more than others.
Yeah.
But with it becoming like so standardized, especially with PCs, like games running at least 60 FPS, it's becoming the norm, right? Like people are becoming accustomed to it. Like I'm going back right now and I'm playing Monster Hunter 3 again for the first time in like, I don't even know, like probably 10 years. And it's on I'm playing the Wii U version.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not running at 30 FPS like the majority of the time, right? And it's super noticeable. And it's one of those things, right, where like you play it for long enough, you don't notice it anymore, and that's fine. But if you're like bouncing back and forth between playing like games at 60 FPS and games not at 60 FPS, it's very noticeable, especially if you're playing like on the same hardware.
I just started playing Star Wars Outlaws. The cutscenes are 30. And the gameplay, you can set it to be at 60 if you want.
Right.
Or whatever higher resolution. And yeah, it's jarring going between the two.
And that's true too. Like even within the game itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there can be a certain like cinematic quality to that. Like if cutscenes are playing at a different frame rate than gameplay, like that could be fine. But you'd probably want to do it at like, what is it, 24?
24.
Yeah.
Film. Yeah. But that'd even be more weird.
Maybe.
It's a little choppy. The cutscenes are a little choppy in Star Wars Outlaws. Maybe I need a PS5 Pro.
What do you guys think of? There's some performance modes now. The one I've tried out is actually Starfield, where you can tell it to target a certain FPS. So you can say target 60, but like do what you need to do. So if you go into like Aquila City, which is one of the more crowded areas, you'll see it sort of hiccup like a little bit. And then it will sort of like draw those textures back. But you go into an interior and the interior feels really smooth. And you kind of get that same effect a little bit, I find, where I go into an interior and it's like really nice. Like it's really nice being 60 FPS, like Tim said, like some people can see it. I certainly can see it. And so it's like, it feels really nice in there. But then you go outside and now that not only has the quality dropped, but the frame rate is also dropped.
Yeah.
It is pretty smooth though. Like obviously games, Starfield included, if it's struggling, it's very obvious, right? Like there's a big hiccup, or there's like a slowdown where it dips below, say dips below 30 to 20 or 10, even if it's really struggling. Whereas this mode, at least in Starfield, and as we know, Starfield's not the most, or like that engine's not the most optimized thing in the world, but like it handles it pretty good. Like you'll see it do like a little hiccup, then it's like, okay, we gotta clean this up. We gotta lower these textures. We gotta do this. We gotta do that, and kind of cleans itself up. Like, would you guys prefer something like that? Because that kind of masks the performance problems, unless you're really looking for them, which I obviously was because I was testing the mode out.
I've personally kind of struggled with this because obviously the first choice that jumps to my mind is more options for the consumer, right? Let the person playing decide, and I'm fine with that. But then it's like I don't want consoles to become as persnickety as PCs, where it's like some games now on console have more than just a performance mode or a visual fidelity mode. They're now adding a bunch of other just different options you can toggle on or off, and it's just like a console should just be simple. You should just pop the game in or hit play on it and just play and not have to worry about all this stuff. So I'm kind of two minds on it.
I guess the problem is that there's going to be like two groups, right? There's going to be the people who play PC games, they get used to having so much customization, and then when they go to their console games to play those, they have come to expect that customization, that customizability. And then you're going to have the other group of console players who only ever play console. They've only ever known console. And they say, like what you say, right? Like they're not going to notice if they don't get those options. They just want to plug and play, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it up to each individual game dev to cater to both of those groups or to pick one and alienate the other? Like, how do you make that differentiation?
Because I think if they never went to 60 on console, and all games were still 30 to this day, I would not have had a problem. But it's like once you taste that 60 FPS, it's hard to go back to 30.
Yeah.
And unless you just only do 30 for a while and retrain your brain to be okay with it.
Yeah.
It's
really
all
noticeable one game does, then that's fine. Right? You go back and play Bloodborne, you're not going to notice because the game always runs at or below 30. But
mostly below.
Mostly below. It's like I think it peaks like 26 or something like that. But
it's a chunky game.
Yeah. But like you say, right? Like if you never get the taste of it, then you adapt quickly, right?
So the question is, what would you guys pay? I know you guys probably aren't going to get a PS5 Pro, but what would be your ideal price for a PS5 Pro?
Less than what the PS5 cost.
That's not possible.
Firm handshake.
That's what you want it to cost?
That's what I want to pay. I want to pay a firm handshake for PS5 Pro.
To someone at Sony?
Yeah.
For reference, although it's on sale right now. Holy crap.
Crisp high five.
Get that out of here. The digital PS5 is $579.99 in Canada, and the disc drive version is $649. So $580 and $650. So what would a PS5 Pro be in Canada?
Ideally 100 more. Sorry, what did you say, Tim?
I said 700.
That would be damn nice if I'm being honest.
You like 700?
I mean, like for the Pro version, yeah, because like it sounds like a lot, but it's not. You're not at 1,000, and like you don't have to buy the Pro.
It's a niche product, yeah. It's not meant for everyone, yeah. And
I think that 700 is like accessible for those that care about the Pro, but I would still be going and picking up my $650 my slim version with the disc drive.
That's another question too, because like on the new slim models, you can add the hard drive or the disc drive on or take it off if you want. Will that same drive work on the PS5 Pro? Are you going to need a special drive for that? Like they'd be insane to have different Pro disc drives, right? Because right now they're selling just the unit of the disc drive.
This is kind of why I'm like a proponent of like you just including like you just having it in the console, like making it an accessory makes it like a question, and then it could make it messy as well.
I think I'm on record on this podcast as saying, as a PlayStation fan, I would pay $1,000 for a PlayStation console.
I was just going to say, I would the day that consoles start costing $1,000, I might need to stop playing modern games.
Well, I mean, the question is now, like a lot of PlayStation games are coming to PC, so could I realistically just wait for them rather than buying $1,000 PlayStation console?
Well, would you do that though? Like at what point? Like, where are you at in your sort of like gaming career? Like, do you care? Like you Ryan, like you were always like very like time sensitive. You had to play things when they were new. I feel like that's kind of gone by the wayside a bit. Like,
I've been broken? Yeah, something broke me.
So like
something in me broke.
So like, do you care? Like, what makes more sense to you? Like, do you care about being, having having a PlayStation that runs it. Like one of the things that I like to have is I like to have a console that runs everything. I don't give a crap about like having the pro version of the consoles, but I like to be being able to play any type of media.
Mhm.
But however, like with you, it's like, would you care about having a PlayStation specifically? Do you care about the money now more? So you're gonna go after like the cheapest possible thing. Maybe you're gonna get refurbished, which I feel like you wouldn't do. Like, where are you at with that type of thing?
Never refurbished.
Never refurbished.
No. I think at this point I would still buy if the PS5 Pro was $1,000 and it was worth it. Let's not just say it was like the little bump I read off, but let's say it was worth $1,000. I would probably pay that. Yeah, today.
Today with a PlayStation 5 already. Like, you already have a PS5.
Yeah, yeah. I just like having a nice thing.
Well, here's something that may change your mind here. I don't know if you guys heard, but the PS5 like went up in price in Japan.
Yeah.
Up nearly $90 or 13,000 yen on September 2nd.
It's funny because they blamed global economics and challenges and things like that, but Nintendo is also a Japanese company, and they have never raised the price of the Switch apparently. So, what's happening there? What's Sony doing wrong?
Well, Sony has a different market than Nintendo.
That's fair.
Like they want people to be buying Switches for kids usually, mostly, right? They want it to be very accessible, and I think the PlayStation a little bit thinks that it's a more of a premium product than the Switch, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Of course they're gonna want to like try to raise the price. It's the same thing with like Starbucks or Apple. Like they want people to look at that and go like, yeah, that it's expensive because it's good, or it's better because it's expensive. Like,
yeah, that's definitely a marketing technique, right?
Yeah,
it's like selling a wine bottle for $200, and people are like, ooh la la,
ooh, nice cheap bottle.
When it's probably no different than the $80.
There have been so many videos online of like sommeliers tasting like a $12 bottle of wine and then like a $1,200 bottle of wine, and they like the $12 better.
Yeah,
classic.
So Bill Kuhn expects the PS5 Pro to be announced sometime during the first half of September. So that'd be coming pretty quick. And then I think they were saying like it was going to come out, holiday season. So,
do you guys think that we'll see a PlayStation 5 price bump before this PS5 allegedly comes out? We already saw one price bump with the Slim. Like, the Slim did not go down in price. The Slim went up in price.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe
may as well gouge.
All right.
I shouldn't say gouge. I don't know what their profit margins are like, but it still sucks.
Well, the sales of PS5s are going down, so they need to make up their profit somehow. So they're going to raise the price.
You got to make a PS6.
Yeah.
And then have it not be available for like 2 years.
Our next story, GameStop pivoting to retro gaming at select locations. This is from Engadget. As the industry moves to digital media and the retailer struggles to adapt to the shifting landscape, including a short-lived stab at NFTs, the company is betting on old school. The GameStop Retro locations will stock physical consoles, discs, and cartridges from classic Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and Sega platforms. The retailer announced the Retro GameStop locations in the post on X. The company also has a website where you can search for retro-friendly locations within a 100-mile radius. GameStop lists 18 classic systems supported by its retro stores, stretching back to the 8-bit glory days of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Here's the complete list. You ready? NES, SNES, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, PS2, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo GameCube, Original Xbox, Nintendo DS, Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii, PS3, Nintendo Wii U, and PS Vita. Notably, no PSP. Don't know what that's about.
That is notable.
Fuck is that bullshit? Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know where they're getting all the stock for this.
Matt, you had a theory, didn't you?
Well, I had an observation. So this is and this is, I want to be clear, this is an isolated case, but this is at a local EB Games here in Canada. A number of years ago in the 360, well, it was like EB Games at the time.
Oh, gotcha. Got it.
Back in the 360 era, I remember I had asked the manager there, I said, hey, like, would you accept, trading in of, PS2 and like my previous gen console stuff, like PS2 and my original Xbox. And he said, well, like, you'd only get really kind of peanuts for it. He's like, sometimes there's promos, where it's like trade in 5 original Xbox games and get, 20% off this or whatever. And I asked him, I said, well, like, I noticed that you have a diminishing stock of these games on the shelves. like, why is that? And he said something to the effect of like, we don't actually stock them anymore, so we're letting the stock diminish. There's actually like a shelf life on them. So at a certain date, they were going to like pack them up, and then they were going to ship them to the warehouse. And then he alluded to the fact that they were not going to be sold anywhere, and he said they may actually have been slated to be destroyed. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, Jesus, like, you're going to take all these older games, and I understand they're older games, but then you're just going to like destroy them. But again, this is like one manager. This is a number of years ago. God knows what I'm misremembering. But I do remember this conversation and being like, well, fuck, like, I'm not going to give you. It's kind of like the if you like really like your car and someone's like, I'm going to buy it and put it in the Derby though, and you're like, well, fuck, get the hell out of here. Like, I want to sell it to someone that's going to drive this thing. I kind of felt that same way where I'm like, I'm not going to give you or like sell you my PS2 games for you to like toss them in the mulch. Like, I don't want you to do that. So again, like, who knows what actually happened? But my theory was like, if let's say they were collecting them and throwing them in the warehouse, is it possible, total long shot, complete guess, did they have the foresight to go, hey, people might actually want these one day, and we now have this huge collection? Because we're right off at that point, they were right off the heels of the PS2 and other older consoles, right? Of course, people were like, hey, let's get rid of all this PS2 stuff. Let's get the new PS3. Let's get the Xbox 360 going. Let's do all that stuff. You're not nostalgic for PS2 yet. And you're not nostalgic for even Dreamcast at that point. You're not nostalgic for that stuff yet. And so you get like these guys show up, they collect all these games, and then they're like, these may come back. But I think that that's a bit of a long shot. It's a theory, but it's a long shot.
I'm going to say no way, because they'd have to store it somewhere, and that company never had the money to like pay for storage for that long a time.
That's a bloody good point. Like how much? Like, what's their profit margin after all these years of storage? That's a bloody good point.
The profit margin on used stuff was always really good, but the profit margin on new stuff is not. Like, when people wonder why like new games are so expensive, the stores and stuff, it's like the store's not making a profit. Like, the profit margin is like something like 2 or 3% on new games. It's really, really narrow. That's why there's such a push for used games, is because that's just pure profit. It's like, yeah, GameStop will give me peanuts for this game that I paid $80 for last month, and now they're only going to give me like, $45 for it. That's because they want to make that $35.
Of course.
Like, it's pure profit.
Do you guys think this retro future for GameStop is going to work well?
Yeah, they do it well. Yeah, because retro games are a big thing now. Like, game collections and people buying physical games is big. I at least from what I see on YouTube. Like, I actually watch a couple people collect. Just like, they're just trying to get full libraries of games. Now, it's a small sample size. I didn't exactly do a survey and ask everybody if they like physical games, but like, I feel like it's become more of like an antique thing. So it's not en masse, but I do think that the hobby's growing.
I think it's too niche.
You think it's too niche?
Yeah, for sure.
Even, well, you know what? I think it would be great for a website, e-commerce. I don't know if these physical locations is really the future. I would agree with that. Or having like a few physical locations if you really wanted to, and like have like an arcade. You have to make it almost like an attraction.
This just feels to me like Blockbuster, and I know that's kind of an overused like what do you call it? Comparison. But it's like, we've all heard the story that the guy who created Netflix like did it because he hated the late fees at Blockbuster, and he offered to sell Netflix to Blockbuster, and they refused, and they said, okay, I'm going to destroy these guys. And it's like, why did GameStop not become an online digital store?
Yeah.
Competing with Steam. Like, why did that never happen? Why did the executives never think that was the solution? They just thought people are always going to want discs, believing that, people want to own their property. It's like, well, no, people want convenience. End of the day, they want convenience.
They also don't understand that they don't own it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot of people are going to be like,
they don't care about that, really.
Well, they don't care, or if it's like, there's a ton of people out there, I'm sure, that don't understand that if the PlayStation Store goes away and they don't make it if they don't make some sort of software change where you can download your games DRM free and back them up, if that doesn't happen, your games are gone.
Yeah. And they were probably seduced by their trade-in service, where they're like, we want to keep the physical game libraries out there so people trade them in and then we sell them again. And it's like, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot by doing a digital service, right? But again, you want to cannibalize your own products. You want people to stay on your platform. That's the more important thing but
Could they GOG it now?
I don't
Do you
know.
think? Like, could they compete? Like, it'd be an uphill battle, but
They'd
could
have
they
to,
come out
I
and
think
you
I
know?
think you need a new name. I think the GameStop brand is broken, so it would have to be some new name. Maybe. I mean, maybe you could do GameStop. I don't know.
I don't know if the brand is broken or is it just that they're physical locations. It's a good question, right?
You say GameStop, and it kind of sounds like a joke. You know, I don't know.
But
Maybe
you
not.
know what it feels like? It feels like the E3 joke, where it's like everyone was like, "Kill E3, fuck E3." E3 dies. Not even like an hour
Everyone,
later, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so sad. What the hell
everyone misses it.
happened?"
Yeah, yeah.
Two
And it's
different
like,
groups of people, though.
yeah, that's yeah.
I don't think so. I've seen the same people in the press who complained about it and then now miss it.
There's
Well,
certainly
they're
there's
just
certainly a few
doing
of them.
whatever gets clicked on. Like that, it's probably not their actual personal opinion.
It's because E3 was actually good and they just got all they got wedgies from it or something. I don't know.
They got wedged in high school by E3.
Well, I do know that I'm just speculating, but there was that leak of a bunch of the press's information that E3 like held, and it got leaked, and they basically like got doxxed and stuff. And I
Oh,
think
God.
that pissed off a lot of the press. And ever since then, they seem to just like have hated E3. Some members, not all of the members, right? Obviously. But I just feel like they would need a bigger blast onto the scene and just being like, GameStop's now online. It's just like, well, okay. You know what I mean? But it was a brand new service that, well, I mean, it's hard to compete with Steam though, because like Epic's been trying and no one's really using the Epic Game Store a lot, you know?
I think you're right though. If they had like a different, like even just like a different product or platform, but under the like said it was under the GameStop umbrella,
Yeah.
instead of just saying GameStop is now online, they've got like game on the internet or whatever, a GameStop, derivative or whatever, and then be like, to people and be like, this is a different product. It's a fresh idea. People would probably be more open to that than like you say
And I think you'd have to
actual
promote the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to have something to get people over to it. So either like crazy deals on major titles, like you're gonna have to take a massive hit at the beginning,
Yeah,
to get it going. Because like Epic Games Store is like giving you free games every week to try to get people over. They're doing the 12.5% or whatever it is for the developers. Like you're gonna have to start doing stuff like that if you're gonna try to compete, but that's gonna be tough. The ship may have sailed.
I think you would have to do DRM free like GOG. I feel like Epic feels too much just like Steam, where it's not DRM. Like there's something different with GOG, right? It's DRM free, whereas with Epic, it's just sort of like, hey, we're the Steam competitor. Whereas there is going to be, it's a niche, but there are going to be people that do care about DRM free. And I mean, GOG, good old games, they have a lot of old games on there, and a lot of them are fixed for modern PCs, so where they'll run on modern PCs, and that's a huge, like, even for me, like I don't want to be messing around with INI files and DLLs and stuff. If you sell me, for $5 a DRM free version of a game I want to play that I'm nostalgic to play, I'm going to buy it on GOG. So I almost feel like they would have to do something different. Of which I mean, it's just a storefront. So like, what else are you going to do different? Like, I guess I guarantee they would do a loyalty program between like their physical locations, right, and the online. Like they would have the points if they I think they still probably do, but they have that like some sort of point system and stuff like that. I feel like that's what they would have to do.
Well, they have that Edge like membership, right?
Yeah. So like what I'm saying is like they would have to be an incentive to go to them, whether it's DRM free or a combination of stuff. DRM free, whether their Edge program is really good and it like goes across the physical locations to bring people into physical locations. Whether like they have like, well, like, I mean, even these like retro locations, like even something to distinguish themselves other than just being retro, like, are they going to fix up old systems? Like, can you bring your old system and get it refurbed there? Like, and get it actually truly refurbed? Like, that would be cool. Are they going to sell these? Presumably it's legal. Presumably, if it's legal, are they going to sell these emulation handhelds? And are they going to let you like actually try them in person and like try this one out? Hey, play your favorite PS2 game here. Oh, does it run well? Cool. Maybe you'll buy it then. Like there has to be something more than just being like, we still have stores, right? Or we're opening an online store. Like they have, in my opinion, they just have to do something. They just have to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's getting more into the realm of like a specialty store though, and I think they might literally be too far gone to like go down that road.
Like they don't have enough money to like support that.
Like they'd have to completely overhaul everything, right? And it's like, how do you maintain the business in its like current state while also like simultaneously trying to make that transition.
Right. You'd have to like call up like if you wanted to do it for like minimal money, you'd have to call up like a refurbished company like a DK Oldies or something. But then even them, like they have their own set of controversies online, so that you'd have that whole friggin' thing following them around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just feels like you'd have to specifically go like small business style, like specialty store, and at that point, it's like, how are they? How do they? I don't know. I think like they're dug too deep. Basically, is what I'm trying to say, in order to make that monumental a shift.
They held into the old model too long.
Yeah.
A little sad. You know what's actually really sad about this is like the local EB Games / GameStop that I used to go to. Like when I imagine an EB Games, it's the one I like imagine myself in. It's fucking dead.
Yep.
It's fucking dead, and it died recently, and it fucking sucks.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh, is it gone?
It's dead, yeah, dead big time.
Damn.
Big time.
And the other one, which was like a close second, Renault, and I don't like the Renault, so there's that. just bitching and sad all around.
And dead.
It's getting old.
And dead, yeah.
All right, our final story for the week. Control and Alan Wake TV and movies on the way thanks to new Annapurna and Remedy partnership. This is my GN. They announced today that they're partnering with Annapurna Interactive to work on film, TV, and, quote, other audiovisual formats, end quote, based on these franchises, as well as to help fund the upcoming Control 2. In a press release, Remedy and Annapurna revealed that Annapurna would serve as a co-production and co-financing partner of Control 2. Remedy will remain focused on developing that and other games, while Annapurna takes the lead on multimedia adaptations. Quote, this deal with Remedy isn't just about adapting great games, it's about breaking new ground in how companies can collaborate, said Hector Sanchez, former head of Unreal Engine games business at Epic, and recently named president of Interactive and New Media at Annapurna. By backing Remedy's move towards self-publishing, we're putting our faith in their vision. We know from experience that Remedy is a first-class games development partner, and we're excited to share their work with an even wider audience by bringing the Control and Alan Wake universes to film, television, and beyond, end quote. I'm pretty excited for this. I've been a big fan of Remedy and kind of the worlds that they've created, and I think a TV show could be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's your experience with Alan Wake and Control and such, Tim?
Only Control.
Only Control?
Yeah.
Any interest in Alan Wake? Because did they remaster the first one and then 2 came out as well?
I've had tons of people telling me that I should play it, but I've just never gotten around to it. If it's all like, I don't know, because that whole like kind of like cryptic surrealism type vibe has not really ever been my thing.
Oh,
I liked Control for what it was, but I think when it comes to like fantasy, I prefer it to be like a fantasy world straight up instead of like fantasy reality mixed kind of thing. But that's just up to personal taste.
And then Matt, what about you? I don't know what your relationship is with these games.
I played Alan Wake, the first one. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been we were actually talking with Adriano about this yesterday and today a little bit. And like I don't really remember how the gameplay was, but I also played Control, which I think I already mentioned, and I thought the world of Control was really, really cool, the same way that I thought the world of Alan Wake was really, really cool. However, I will say that I do not like the Control gameplay. I find it to be really, really cheap and kind of just really floaty, and I really didn't like it. And I know that some people definitely disagree with me, but I
disagree with you.
Well, I looked around online. I mean, and of course, I'm going to find somebody that agrees with me, but I was like, how many people? I don't know how many people, but somebody on Reddit literally wrote a thread that had every single one of my complaints in it. So I was like, okay, like, at least I'm not alone. At least there's one other one that is like completely aligned with me. I just felt as though I felt like I was just running around as a character and I was like floatily shooting stuff. And I just found it to be really disappointing. So like from the conversation with Adriano earlier is that I said like I was looking forward to having a TV show because then I wouldn't have to contend with the gameplay.
Did you play it on console?
Yes, PlayStation.
I wonder if that's why. Because I played it on PC and I found the controls to be very good.
Oh,
that'd be something interesting to try.
We streamed Control for a bit there.
For about a San Francisco hour, yeah.
Yeah, you went back and finished it then yourself, Tim?
Yeah, I played it on stream like 2 years ago, maybe.
I think you and I played it at the same time, Tim. I think you were streaming it near the time in which I played and beat it, I think. You did the DLC though, right? Or no? Is that wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I started the DLC and just never I remember I went in, there was like this mine area and I got in and then like the character started talking to me. I was like, you know what? I don't need to be in this world anymore. Actually, I think I've had my fill.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate. Like I feel like a lot of people get like a lot of like good joy or whatever from Control, but I don't know. It's just
Good joy.
it felt really cheap to me. I wouldn't mind trying the PC version. Like I wouldn't buy it just to do that, but I wouldn't mind like trying it and being like, okay, maybe the mouse and keyboard is where I should have been at.
I'm sure it's one of those things where you would enjoy it a bit more if you were more into like the Remedy verse, but because I know a lot of people were, freaking out about all the like Alan Wake references, because I think it wasn't until Control that Remedy kind of confirmed that all of their games were supposed to be in the same universe. Like people didn't know going into Control that it was going to be related to Alan Wake.
Yeah, at least Alan Wake and Control are related. I don't know about Quantum Break. I don't know if that's in it or not.
You have to find an audio or a text log somewhere in Control about it.
So spoiler alert, the actor, I think, in Quantum Break, he plays another character in Control or Alan Wake 2. It's a different character, though, but the same guy.
But that can mean anything in this crazy universe.
It could be like a multiverse thing.
Who knows what's going on?
It's like that's him, but in a different timeline or whatever.
All right, that's all the news for the week. Moving on to what we're playing. I know Matt's been playing that Avatar. Take it away, Matt.
That's just not true.
It popped up on my screen because I'm on Ubisoft's website.
Oh. No, I've not been playing Avatar. I don't know. I just have never returned. And I like it too. And every time I think about it, I think about how fun it was. I just haven't gone back. I'm kind of just bouncing around games right now after I completed RoboCop a few weeks ago. So I've been playing Pirates, The Legend of Black Cat, which is a PS2 game. I'm playing that on my Steam Deck. And it's one of those games that does not give a fuck if it just kicks your ass and cranks the difficulty. So I got to a point in the story where it's like, here's a new sword and it's supposed to be, this much better and whatever. So I was like, oh, that's great. Cause I was, kind of struggling here and there, having to land a lot of hits and block a lot because I would die quicker than I would kill the people. And then it's like, by the way, here's a new sword. You should go to this new biome and show up to the new biome and get absolutely fucking laid out. Absolutely fucked. Looked it up and I was like, am I an idiot? Like, are other people struggling? And of course, I'm in the old internet at this point looking at game facts. And people are like, yeah, like I could only beat this game with the invincibility cheat. So, I'm not going to necessarily go there yet. But if I get really stuck, like all I'm trying to do is complete this for my childhood self. So I may just fucking turn on some invincibility here and there. I'm doing this for fun. I'm not doing this for no Guinness World Record. But it's a
wild concept, right? Like playing a game to have fun and not like worrying about some arbitrary rules that other people will tell you about.
Well, I like the idea of like having the stakes of like, okay, I beat that boss. Meanwhile, if I'm like invincible, it's just like I'm just going to show up and just like swing my sword and not block. Right. Like there's like very little strategy. So what I fear is I'll get bored and then I won't come back.
But that's the thing, right? Like if it's fun to do that, then you won't get bored.
Yes. But if I get stuck, like I'm just going to fucking cheat. Like that's fine. Like
give a check mark. Fuck it.
Yeah. I'm here to see the credits. It's literally a childhood thing. Like I don't need anyone's approval for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least there's an invisibility cheat, as I've learned. But other than that, I've been playing just piecemeal. Been playing Arkham City, the redo one, the Return to Arkham collection, whatever. So I'm doing the second game in the collection. Like I said, Arkham City, pretty fun. Definitely still very early. I tend to get really bored of these beat 'em up games. Like I got bored of Lord of the Rings, like Shadow of Mordor and stuff like that. Or I guess Shadow of War is the one I got bored of. Shadow of Mordor is pretty short. So I've been taking it just kind of slow. Like if we hop online and everyone kind of hops off a little early, I'll just hop into Batman, do a mission or two, and then just like, kind of shut it down for the night. If I don't play it again for a week or two, that's cool. Come back. And then it always feels fresh. And I've been enjoying it that way. So I've been doing that. My only complaint, and Marty told me it's actually an upgrade complaint, so I have to do something to upgrade this, is out of the Superman or superhero games I've played, I feel like late game Infamous and Spider-Man in general has really nailed the traversal of a city. And whereas Arkham City is not a huge city, jumping and gliding very quickly down, it's a very like sharp downward angle to then only like grapple up again and then glide down again and then grapple up again is very tedious. However, Marty said that there's like an upgrade that really helps with that. He was telling me how to do it. So I'm going to kind of look into that next time I play and see, because I'm not above looking up guides for these older games. And other than that, we did some Fortnite. It's a good season. We have, I want that fucking Mysterio skin. So I'm going after that right now.
I've heard people giving good feedback on Fortnite. Happy that the cars are out, apparently.
Yeah, I mean the cars were. I mean, I like the game changing up like that. I totally understand why people wouldn't, especially like you log in one day and you're like, I'm just gonna play around a Fortnite, and all of a sudden it's like, why is it Mad Max and not Fortnite?
yeah, exactly.
Bring back the tanks. Bring back the tanks.
Fuck the tank. Fuck the tanks. Like
Come
I'm out on the fucking tanks.
We all jump into a tank and we're all like calling out targets and stuff, and you had to move the turret around. It was so good.
You know what? I'm
like
honestly
playing World of Tanks.
I'm honestly, well, I mean, I do play that too, but, or I play War Thunder, but I am honestly a proponent of when they want to do something like this, maybe throw it out there for a week on the main mode and then be like, all right, boys, like this is a real big game changing thing. We're just going to make this a separate mode. They got enough players to split the player base. Like, we're just going to make this a separate mode. You guys want to play on tanks? You guys want to play Mad Max? Go for it. Like, try that. Maybe that's a stupid idea, but like Fortnite's never against trying stuff. It seems. So just like I'm not gonna be mad about that, because sometimes I just want to run around and shoot. I don't want to deal with the cars. The big problem right now is that it's all superhero stuff. So you get to the end game and all of a sudden you're just getting absolutely destroyed by superpowers. Meanwhile, you got to the end just by shooting people. So it's like, okay, now I need this. The same way in the Mad Max season, you needed a car in the beginning, and then later in the season, you didn't need a car. You needed the fists. You need to have like the punching fists and the Magneto fists. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed. And so, like, I mean, I get it, but I do not like having something be the main influence at the end of the game all the time. Like, I do prefer gunplay. However, it does keep it fresh, so it's not that, but it's just a nitpick for me anyway. But I think other than that, I think that's been my week. Oh, actually, I started another Diablo character. A guy I haven't talked to in like 10 years was like, hey, like I'm on Diablo, let's do it. So I just like hopped on for a random session, did it, and that was cool. And he leveled me up all the way. And in typical Diablo fashion, I have no idea how he did it, but I'm now max level. Or I'm not max level, I'm high level, so I can kind of do most stuff in this season, I guess. And like, I'm not super into it. Like I said, like I don't really know what's going on. I'm just following a guide. But yeah, I don't know. I played a little bit more Diablo, but that's it. That's been my week.
Fortnite is usually more fun at the beginning of the season when things are a little calmer. By the end, it's just chaos. Which
People
I guess
don't
is
know the meta yet.
Well, no, they add new things and things just become chaotic by the end of it. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
I don't
Tim,
play Fortnite, so I don't have any context.
What are you playing this week?
Yeah, like I said, I've been I went back to start playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate again, which is the first Monster Hunter game I ever played. Really deep into the weeds on the Monster Hunter Wilds information. So I've been following all that for like all of Gamescom and stuff like that. Very, very excited about all of that news. I just kind of felt like going back and comparing old Monster Hunter to like current Monster Hunter, and then also what is being shown off for Wilds and things, and just being like remarking on the differences and stuff. Because over the last couple of weeks as well, I've been going through Monster Hunter Rise with a couple of friends, because we typically look for some like 3-player multiplayer games to play, and we just noticed that Rise was free with a certain level of PlayStation Plus, whatever month that was. And I played Rise on the Switch, and I played the base game, and I was like, it was okay, but I just found myself wanting to go back to World all the time. And as soon as we started playing it together, I found Rise to be much more enjoyable. And having the DLC as well, picked up the DLC on the PlayStation Plus version, and that's just been fantastic. A bunch of like old monsters that I really, really like from older games come back and are in the Sunbreak DLC for Rise. And just, I think, having more incentive to like play the game, because I'm like trying to keep up with my friends, but we're also like doing a good job of kind of only ever making like progress when we play together. Just makes for a really a lot more enjoyable experience. I like didn't realize, and it probably like should go without saying, but I never really realized like how much more fun Monster Hunter is when you play it with other people than playing it alone. Just like most games, but just like the vast majority of the Monster Hunter I've ever played has been by myself or like off on the off time with like one other friend. So having a couple of people that you regularly play with just makes it much more enjoyable, and it's been really good. So it's funny to like compare Rise even to 3 Ultimate, especially in terms of like my knowledge of the games and like how things have changed. But that's kind of been the biggest thing. I've been like fiddling with some other games here and there in between, but not really like sticking with anything for too long. Mostly just Monster Hunter, trying to get caught up in the hype.
Rise is the one you and I played, right? We played it for like, I don't know, maybe 3 months off and on. It was on Game Pass at the time.
That was World, I think.
That was World.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one where you played Light Bowgun the whole time?
Well, yes, but there was like a ship mechanic where you send the cats away on a ship.
I think all the games have that.
On the ship? Oh my God. I didn't know that in World at all. I don't think I ever
Send
knowingly
the cats away on a ship.
Like, I remember the layout of the town is you like walk in and it's like a T. So like when you walk in, like the right in front of you is like the temple. If you turn left,
okay, no, that is like, Rise. Yeah, that's Rise.
That is Rise. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize I totally forgot that we ever played Rise. We would have played on the Switch, I think.
And it was on. It was at least on like Game Pass PC, I think. And we got like pretty far. Like
I don't remember this at all. What the hell?
Yeah, like I remember that's my last Monster Hunter experience, because I remember you were telling me. Last thing I remember is I climbed up to the top of that one tree to get something from one of the owls or something.
Yeah, the owl nest, yeah.
And then you were like telling me what to send away to get a certain item or something with the like cats, which is in that same area as the tree.
You send the cats off in the little submarines to get like the trade items.
That's right. Yeah, and then that was, I think, like we played it for like a while. Like it was a few months, like off and on kind of thing.
I feel bad. I don't remember that at all.
It was a COVID thing though. Like it was like a while ago now. So like COVID's like such a fucking time sink. Like
it's true. My memories might as well not even be real.
Oh Jesus.
Well, I'm playing the crap out of it. If you want to, I don't know if that's actually still like downloadable on PS Plus or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm playing it all the time.
I do have PS Plus Extra.
There you go.
Because they upgraded me for $20 for the year, so I was like, I'll try it just to see what happens this year. So if it saves me money, then it's an instant purchase.
It saves you money. It lives you better.
Walmart. Yeah.
What about you, Ryan?
I just started playing today Star Wars Outlaws.
Right. Yep.
There's been an interesting conversation going on. A lot of reviews are kind of all over the place. I've heard both that it's an amazing game and both that it is a horrible, outdated, cliche gameplay type of game.
I mean, there's a reason cliche is cliche, though. Like cliche tropes.
I've only played like under an hour. Okay, I just booted it up.
So you have like no impression at all.
No, but my current impression is that the people who are saying it's crap are like they need to calm down a bit.
Like it's not that bad. Like there are gripes, but it's not that bad.
Now, who knows when I get further on, I heard there's problems with like the speeder and you have to you have like a Deadeye like from like Red Dead ability.
Yeah.
You can only use that to shoot on the speeder and it makes it very clunky. So there might be future issues that I will come across later. But so far, just like running around, I've done some shooting. I've had like a shootout and stuff. I've done some stealth. It's not horrible. It's just the games, So we'll see. I'll keep an open mind and try to see where the game takes me. But visually, it's pretty nice. They by default it comes in 21:9 aspect ratio, so it's a little closer to like cinematic.
Cinematic, yeah.
And I guess they even used, they don't have really lenses, quote unquote lenses in a game, but they made like the camera look like it's using lenses from like the original trilogy. And so it kind of looks like a Star Wars movie when you're playing it, which is a kind of a unique thing that they were able to capture. So
that's pretty
there's
cool.
aspects like that. And that was what I was wondering, Matt. We were kind of talking about this in the positive reviews. Are people just getting that nostalgia drip and being like, oh, this game's amazing because it looks and feels like Star Wars? and not thinking more critically on the actual fundamental gameplay aspects. So,
Well, that was the question. Is like I said that a lot of the people were saying like, oh, this is just another Ubisoft game where you kind of like choose your license, choose your era. If it's Assassin's Creed, choose your historical era, and then kind of like hit generate, and then an Ubisoft game pops out. That's what people were saying about it being Star Wars. But like, if they did that with Stargate, I'd be happy. Like I'd be all over that. So like maybe that's why it's so polarizing. I also had a question as to whether like Ubisoft is the new Bethesda, and just in terms of how people see it, where like some people really hate the Bethesda formula, like pre-Starfield. I know Starfield that it does have, I would say, objective problems. But like before that, like people were really like not happy with Fallout 4 and stuff like that. And I'm kind of wondering whether people are fatigued of the Ubisoft formula, but some people also don't care. And so that's why you're getting such polarizing things. I don't know.
it always seems at launch too, like Fallout 4, everyone like hated it. It sounded like at launch, but then later it's like everyone loves it now, and it's just like, what? I don't know what's going on there.
That is weird. That's very weird.
And so maybe it just takes time.
Fallout 4 at launch?
Well, yeah. Remember, people didn't. Well, everyone loved freaking New Vegas, right? And so 4
hated
was
New Vegas at launch. That's for sure.
Well, because it was a buggy mess, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that did the same thing then. Now everyone loves New Vegas. But yeah, I thought it bad. I mean, you're the Fallout guy. Am I wrong? Was there not like a negative sentiment towards 4?
There was a negative sentiment toward 4, but I would say it was like the beginning of people getting kind of more vocal about Bethesda's problems. Like I feel as though those people were yelling, but it was like 25% at most of the people, like of the noise, let's say. You know, most of the noise, 75% of it was like positive. And then when Fallout 76 comes out, which that game had objective problems, of course, for even when the bugs went away, it had objective problems in gameplay and UX and stuff. Then those like 25% were like either it grew or it was just way louder. Right. And then, of course, that gets applied to Starfield. And again, Starfield does have problems, but like same kind of thing.
I just remember, I remember people being upset with the bugs, and I remember people hating the story. And I guess people still going to hate the story in 4.
That's almost, I agree with that. Like that, the story isn't great. To me, I just kind of like took it off the cuff, like, oh, is it kind of like a meme? But I do see what you mean. Like it was probably those same, 25% of the noise of people being like, why can't they write a good story? Right. Whereas like I was like kind of like looking with rose colored lenses, like, I don't care. I'm building stuff. That was another criticism, is people didn't like the building. And I was like, well, I like building stuff. And so like I was just like fully inundated with Fallout because I like building, I like the world, and I could give a shit about the campaign because I rarely do it until the end. So
yeah. Other than that, I've been playing a buttload of Elder Scrolls Castles. Been draining my batteries on Elder Scrolls Castles. It eats through my iPad battery like it's nothing. It's insane. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that. I kind of got addicted to the upgrade cycle, just constantly upgrading this. Then you get enough to upgrade that. Then you do some missions and you level up and you unlock this and you put that there. And what I like about it too is it's not. If I remember, Fallout Shelter was like you would just build and just like constantly add new sections and get new people, and it would just constantly expand. This one's like, okay, I have my necessities for my castle, and now it's just about upgrading them and making it better, rather than adding new rooms and things. So
is this like Fallout Shelter but Elder Scrolls style?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this.
I haven't seen it promoted too much. I have seen ads on Instagram, but it was also in like early release. I think it's officially launching in September. So I might be playing a beta or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I haven't heard about this at all. Only I felt like a gaming news podcast.
If you pre-ordered when they first announced it, I think you got into the beta. It's a free game, but you still just, hit the pre-order button.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I got you.
It is nice though. It's like you actually build the rooms like how you want them. You don't just like click like cafeteria.
They're not prefabricated things. You actually tap out what you want.
Yeah, that's cool. I always forget to like include mobile gaming, but yeah, I've been like playing of course with Monster Hunter. I've been playing a shit ton of Monster Hunter now as well. I've been back on the mobile Monster Hunter game because like I'm usually the one to take the dog out for a walk, and so I'm walking around our neighborhood quite frequently, and I figured like I may as well play Monster Hunter now if I'm going out and getting into these areas, right? So it makes it easy to keep up with like the seasons and stuff. That's the other thing too, is like the game is very good at keeping you playing it. There's a lot of like incentive. There's always daily challenges, and then there's like a new event kind of like every 2 weeks. And there's always like more materials to work towards making a new weapon upgrade. And like, it's like, I know you guys didn't like are huge Monster Hunter players, but like the game Generations that was Cross and Double Cross in Japan was like, that was the game they made for the 10th anniversary of Monster Hunter. And it was basically like a love letter to the series. And so they included like lots of maps from old games and like monsters from each of the different generations and stuff. And it was like super, super grindy. Like you look at World or Rise, where it's like each like weapon upgrade or like armor tier upgrade is like every couple of monsters. Even like you don't even necessarily like get a weapon or a tree upgrade for each monster that you fight for every weapon. Like some of it just straight up skips it. It's like, oh yeah, there's no, this monster for this weapon type. But Generations was like, you have to do every monster for like every weapon, and you also have to fight it like at least 2 times to get the materials to like upgrade your way through this path. Like there are so many upgrades for each individual like weapon you're trying to do. And Monster Hunter Now is similar to that in that you like there's 10 tiers of upgrades for like every weapon, and it's not a tree. Like you need to like make this weapon first, and then you can from this weapon go this path or this path. Like it's just once you like get to Zinogre, for example, and you get those parts, then you can make the Zinogre weapon, and then you start with that one, and then it's got like 10 levels of upgrades or like 5 levels of upgrades, because some of them start at like level 5 or whatever. But it's like you need so many parts of every monster for every like version of that weapon. And my thing with Monster Hunter is I ping pong a lot with different weapon types. Like I bounce back and forth between doing different weapons. And it's like the controls for the combat of the game is not complicated because it's a mobile game, but there are like legitimate builds and stuff to do, and like some are just like objectively way stronger than others. And I'm doing like a bunch of Gunlance stuff right now. And so I'm making like different Gunlances, but I'm also primarily just focusing on this one because it's just the easiest to upgrade, and it's super, super fast, or super strong rather, but fast to hunt monsters. But they're very good at like giving you enough rewards for like each challenge you do, like whether it's just like a daily thing or like a season thing. And there's like sort of a battle pass to it. Well, there's like a season, right? And a pass, I suppose, where you every time you level up, you get like money, and then you get a big chunk of like these upgrade materials, and it's like money, and then these upgrade materials, and it's just kind of giving you that like always something to work towards. And I was playing it a lot, and I was like, the pass to buy the season is like $18 or $20 or something like that. And I was like, if I get to level 100 in this season before it ends, then maybe I'll like buy the pass, because then I get everything like retroactively. And so I did do that. I was telling you this, Matt, the day that I did it, and I was like, man, the Niantic Grease is they've gotchas, because like I got to level 100 and I was like, okay, great. And I bought the pass, and it gave me all those rewards like retroactively, and they were all like, upgrade parts or monster parts or all these materials and things. And then I think you start, if you just like with the free like base version of the game, you have 5,000 inventory slots, which is a lot. But when you're talking like 30 different monsters, and each monster you've got like 40 parts for like, the couple of the common ones, and then you've got like 30 of the uncommon ones, you've got like 10 or 15 of the rare ones. It all adds up, right? And then you've got all your minerals, and you got all your bugs, and you got all your bones. You get that 5,000 pretty fast. And when I was already kind of near the cap, and when I redeemed that and I got all the stuff retroactively, I was over 7,000 items. And I was like, do I just have to genuinely get rid of like half of what I just like bought this pass for anyway? And I was like, these goddamn bastards, they fill up your inventory, and then they tell you, oh no, you either gotta get rid of the stuff, or you gotta buy a bigger inventory bag. And I was like, man, they friggin' double dipped me. Because I did end up buying a slightly larger inventory just so I could friggin' have these materials. But yeah.
I told you to get it set up like I had with Pokemon Go, where, I need something. You don't even think about it. You just click it, and then you just tap your fingerprint, and it pays for it.
Fingerprint pay. No. That's scary. That's something I will never do for a game, is just make it super easy to pay for stuff. Because I know that I'll just like forget how much I've spent. And I know
I
it's
did.
like that's probably the thing in gaming that I'm the most like boomery about is that I'm used to I'm not used to playing live service games and games that have a ton of microtransactions. Like for me, if I buy a game, I just buy a game when it comes out and I never pay another cent for it unless it's like a DLC of a game I really really like. Um, I don't play games that have microtransactions, and often the games where they're like, oh yeah, you could just play this game a bunch and you get this stuff, or you could pay a couple of dollars and you can get it immediately. I will always take the route of just play the game and get it organically because which a lot of people go, dude, it's like $2, just pay the $2. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this game for a month and then I'm gonna get that thing.
Meanwhile, everyone else is like 10x because they paid
Yep.
the $2.
Yeah, literally, I will not do it. I cheap out on games, but I waste money on other things. So
I guess the last thing for me, the new character in Overwatch is out, Juno, and I have taken a liking to playing as her. She's a Martian. First of all, she's from Mars.
Marvin?
No,
the
She's
Illudium
Martian.
PQ-36 explosive space modulator.
Jesus.
Jesus, Murphy had that ready to go.
But she's a healer, and she heals by shooting your teammates. But her gun like does damage to enemies, but then heals.
So Anna.
Yes, but not a sniper. She's had like a burst rifle or burst like handgun. Like it does 3 shots, and she has little moon boots, so she flies around in her little moon boots. And she has like a boost thing, so she'll throw it on the ground, and it creates like a ring or like a portal that your teammates can run through, and then they get a little speed boost. And then her ultimate basically just boosts everyone and has them like cause more damage and stuff. So, but I've just been liking flying around as her with her gun, and it's just been really working out for me. So I'm glad to have a new character to play as that I like, because I only play like the same three or four characters. Basically, my mains are Diva, Soldier, Bastion, and Moira.
Are they mains if you have that many?
Well,
In a game with that many characters, I would say so. Yeah,
All right,
but also
roles.
mains for different roles. Yeah. So Moira is my go-to healer, and then Soldier has since the start of the game has been my go-to damage, and then Diva is my go-to tank. So, all right, that's it. Tim, where can the good folks find you streaming on the twitch.com?
the good folks
Twitch.tv, sorry.
cannot find me, but the bad folks
Oh,
will find me at twitch.tv/the sidetrack, where, like I said, I've been playing through some Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, bit of a retro, but it's been really fun. It's like really rough. If I had not played that game before and I was coming to it after playing like World and Rise, like I would probably go as far to say is that it's kind of unplayable with like modern conveniences and like quality of life and stuff. But there's also a bit of a shift, and there have been a number of people that have popped in and like we've talked about it, where like the Monster Hunter games used to be more like kind of hunting simulation. Like you really had to focus a lot on the prep before you went out, and now the current games are just like, oh, just go on the quest. It's like, oh, if you want to swap your weapon, oh, if you want to eat another meal, oh, if you want to get new items, like just go to your tent or whatever. And it's very like free form that way. So there's definitely been a shift in like how those games like function now, which, you know, for better or worse, whether you like it or not, it's how it is. But yeah, it's been really cool to like kind of go back retroactively and sort of do a comparison that way. So if that's your bag, like I said, twitch.tv/the sidetrack, and occasionally twitch.tv/day one patch media on Wednesday nights, where the three of us have been playing Halo, a bunch of Halo games. Now
A whole
onto
bunch
Halo
of Halo.
4, man, there's just nothing in gaming like the end of Halo 3. Like
Yep.
I've not had another experience in gaming like the first time that I played the last mission in Halo 3. Like it just gets you so fired up, and you're just so, yeah, man, it's hype. It's hype as hell. I really
Hype as
that's my purple elephant. That's what I'm chasing with gaming, is something to compare to the end of Halo 3.
I'm sure 343
Oh, wow.
will deliver that for you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to
Infinite.
the next chapter of Halo 4.
Alrighty. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Yo, peace.